friends. I got this new ring light, so I have no idea like how this looks right now. All I know is that I did not watch any kind of tutorial on how to like set up proper lighting, nor did I fully read the instructions on how to assemble the ring light, so nailed it. Today is my 30th birthday. And I was trying to figure out what the like proper way to acknowledge this would be. And I realized that I have, you know, collected a lot of like thoughts and pieces of advice and things in my 30 years, and I figured I would share those with you. So here are 30 thoughts about turning 30. First of all, I'm excited that I made it to 30. I went to my high school reunion a couple years ago, and like there were people that did not make it to 30 that were not there because they had passed away before they made it to 30. So I'm incredibly grateful that I'm still here. I decided a long time ago that I was not going to measure turning 30 by like the age and the number, but more of the things that I had accomplished and the things that I had done by the time that I was 30. I've worked really hard in the last decade and been able to do a lot of cool things and, you know, do stuff with my music and have great friends and a great husband and great pets. And so I would say a success, an overall success, my 20s. So hopefully my 30s and, you know, 40, oh my God. Hopefully my time forward will be equally as rewarding and fulfilling. I hate being classified as a millennial. I feel like I am not a millennial. I am constantly making the case for why all millennials are not created equal, because I can't remember what exactly the age like bracket is. I want to say it's like early 20s through like right around my age, like 30, 31. When I was in high school, I was a junior when I got my first cell phone. It could send and get calls and I think maybe text messages and play Snake, and that was like, that's what you had. And there were like limits to the number of minutes that you could have per month. So I would always get in trouble for like, you know, calling my boyfriend my senior year and like going over my number of minutes. And there was like a certain time at night where you had unlimited minutes, so it was like, oh my God, call me back at like 9 and we'll, you know, talk forever. So I feel like my experience communicating with other people for the majority of my high school was very different than even people a couple years younger than me that really grew up with cell phones more, that had them all through high school, because that only became a thing towards the end of my high school years. And I feel like that really does make a big difference of how you know, relate to people and communicate with people. So I am just, basically it comes down to, I'm just constantly trying to like justify not being a millennial, even though I guess I technically am, but it hurts my feelings. I am excited that I feel like I've gotten to a point in the last couple of years that I'm not trying to make my music sound like something else that I feel like it should sound like. I went through a phase where it was like, I need to sound like some of this stuff that's getting onto like TV shows and film and things, and like I need it to sound cool and whatever, but I really have gotten to a point where I'm comfortable with, you know, having the sound that I have, and you know, it sounds exactly how I want it to, and it's kind of like if it's, you know, if it's not like current and hip enough, like I just don't care. Like I'm happy with it and people seem to be happy with it, and I'm finally at a moment where that's enough for me, and that feels really nice. Though kind of on the flip side, I do feel like I still struggle with not being insecure about the things that I like. Being 30 years old and, you know, really loving like the young adult book genre and kind of being part of that world, and, you know, feeling like I'm older as far as musicians go, like, I don't know. I think I still really struggle with not feeling insecure about liking the things that I do. Which is sad, because you shouldn't, you know, feel like you can't be part of something because of how old you are. I'm like, maybe you guys one day are just gonna be like, oh my God, like, you know, stop doing stuff about young adult books, like you're too old for that, which would make me really sad. But then I think about the fact that most young adult authors are in their 30s and 40s. There are obviously people that enjoy the YA genre, so why couldn't readers enjoy? I don't know, I'm just like constantly, you know, feeling, I don't know, weird about it. I went to a wedding earlier this summer, and one of the guys that I've known there for a long time, he was introducing me to somebody, and I know he was joking, but it was like, oh yeah, this is Beth. She writes songs based on kids' books. And it's just like, oh my God, that makes me sound like ridiculous. And also it's like so much more involved than that, but like, I don't know, I don't know. So so basically it comes down to I'm still working on trying to like be okay with some aspects of who I am, which you would think that you'd just like have it together by 30, but not quite. Though there are some decisions I've made that I am super comfortable with. I do not want to have kids. I'm not planning on having kids. I'm not going to change my mind. And that can be kind of hard sometimes because first of all, people just expect that you get to a certain point and that you want kids. I think people can be kind of judgmental about that choice because it's different than the norm. I just think that we know ourselves well enough to know that that's not something that we want. And we're unapologetic about it, and you know, I'm sure our kids would be awesome. They're just not gonna exist. I think getting older seems to just be waking up every morning and like doing a check of your body to be like, what weird thing has it started doing that it was not doing yesterday? Like just things that you would never even think would be a thing. So you have a lot to look forward to. And I may never be happy with like how my body looks. I don't know that that's something that ever goes away. I think that's a constant struggle for most people. I think that everyone, even the people that you would look at and be like, oh my God, like, you know, she's so like pretty or thin or whatever, like she must, you know, feel so good about herself. Like I can almost guarantee you that every single one of those people has something that they feel insecure about. But on the other hand, I am never going to just completely give up the things that I enjoy eating. Because, I mean, what's the point in life? What is the joy in life if you don't get to treat yourself sometimes? So it's just trying to find the right balance. I don't think that I will finish my to-read list until I'm about 60. It's so big. I wish that I could go back and reread the Harry Potter books for the first time, not knowing anything about what's gonna happen. Like that would be such an awesome experience to be able to like wipe that clean and be able to read them again. I am forever grateful that I got to grow up as those books came out. And just like the experience of the, you know, movie releases and the book releases, I mean, it will stay with me forever. So, I love Harry. So that's enough about me. I wanted to kind of share like pieces of advice that I have either been given, a lot of times from my dad, because my dad and I are very alike in the fact that we like to like mic drop all the time, like philosophy wise. We like to have like sayings and things that just feel like we're super, super wise, and just that the other person, like you're just gonna let them sit with that for a minute, you know what I mean? But yeah, so here's like some things that I've kind of learned, some things that I've gotten advice on, and just good advice and whatever. So when you are in a relationship, make sure that you love somebody for their qualities and not for how their qualities apply to you. So it's the difference between he makes me laugh and he's nice to me and he, you know, takes care of me. The problem with that is it's all about you. It needs to be about the other person. They're funny, they're kind, they are smart. Make sure that when you are appreciating somebody, that it's not just about how that somebody fits in with your life, because that's kind of selfish. Make sure you enjoy your time with people, because you don't know how long they're going to be in your life. And I don't just mean like, you know, like they might die tomorrow. You don't know the friendships that you'll have. Even if it's somebody that's going to be your friend for the rest of your life, it's probably not always going to be, you know, in that location, in that setting. Whether it's like the person that you're living with, or like a group of your friends all being in college together, or living in the same town. Don't take for granted like the people in your life, and just enjoy Even if you know it's gonna be temporary, just enjoy like the friendships and the dynamics and like routines and traditions that you have with people, because it inevitably is going to change. Depression and anxiety is not something to be ashamed of. It affects almost everyone. Everybody has their moments, and if they don't, then they're bullshitting you. It does not make you weak. It does not make you like different or bad. It's just normal. We are just a lot of like rubber band balls of feelings, and some of us are more tightly wound than others. It's not something to be ashamed of. This is definitely one of my dad's. You don't have to be friends with somebody to be friendly. I remember when I was in 4th, maybe 5th grade, and there was a group of girls that like we did not get along, and so my solution to that would be just like silent treatment them. And my dad sat me down and he said, listen, you do not have to be friends with someone to be friendly. You don't have to like them in order to just be polite. As you get older, it gets a little harder not to just hate everyone. Everyone is the actual worst. Like the more that you see of humanity's bad side, I think the more you start to just like really get discouraged about people in general. So I think you have to make a little more effort to like find good things. That also, you know, means that you make more of an effort for you to try and do nice things for other people, because you just never know like when that could be the thing that stays with somebody. And that's the other thing too, is that you never know what somebody's going through. People can keep that stuff like really tightly locked up. You don't always know the context of somebody's mood or of somebody's situation. So I think you have to like give people the benefit of the doubt. When it comes to all aspects of your life, this is another one of my dad's. Don't give somebody an ultimatum if you don't know what their answer is going to be. So whether that comes to like, you know, quitting a job or relationships, I guess is the most obvious one. If you don't know for sure what their answer is going to be, like don't put yourself in a position where you could potentially get the answer that you did not want. It is okay if you don't feel comfortable doing what's cool. I remember having moments in college, because the thing to do when I was you know, I guess anybody's a freshman in college, is like go to frat parties, and like usually there's dancing. Usually it's like the foreplay to someone's like sexcapades that you really could go the entirety of the rest of your life without seeing, but that's just what happens. And I felt, first of all, like it was something that I was supposed to do. Like I was supposed to go to frat parties, and I was supposed to, you know, drink and flirt and dance and like all of those things, especially combined. It was miserable. I hated it. And I finally got to the point where I'm like, you know what? This is not my version of fun, and that's okay. Even as an adult, going to like bars where it's just like stupidly drunk people just like grinding on each other, that is not my version of fun. If you're gonna give up on something, be really sure about it. I had a time in 6th or 7th grade, it was not cool to be playing piano and I wanted to quit. And I sat down with my parents and they said, give it 1 more year, and if you still want to quit, then you can. And I am so glad that I didn't just, you know, quit on the first whim that I had, because like I wouldn't be playing music and writing music. Give yourself a little more time to be absolutely sure if you want to quit doing something. You cannot rationalize the irrational. Feelings are irrational. How somebody feels about something, it's not wrong or right, it just is. You can try and like give yourself like pros and cons list for like why you should or shouldn't feel a certain way, but when it comes down to it, like you can't rationalize feelings. Learn, oh, and I cannot stress this enough, learn how basic adult things work, like taxes and insurance, because it is important. You are gonna have to do it for the rest of your life, and you're gonna look like a boss to anybody that works in those fields if you come in and actually know what you're doing. Just learn the basics. Learn the basics of some like really boring but worthwhile adult things. Be open to people that have different opinions than you. My dad is a super conservative Republican. I am not. But my dad is also one of the most informed, like researched people about his beliefs. So I love having conversations with him, even if we don't agree, because I learned something about why someone feels the way they feel about something. I think it gets so easy in like the social media era to, you know, unfollow and unfriend everyone that has different views than you, especially when it comes to like politics and religion and everything. It's good to know and try and understand why people feel the way they feel about something, especially if they feel passionately about it, because it helps you become more educated and have a more informed opinion. And also along the lines of social media, and you know, this might be a very unpopular thing to say, but I wish that people would stop trying to explain themselves and just be themselves. I feel like we've gotten to this very strange like era of time where it's like, I need to define my gender and I need to define my sexuality, and like I don't want to be labeled, but I'm gonna put these labels on myself. And it's like, you know, instead of trying to explain yourself to other people, like be yourself for yourself. Be you for the sake of being you. I think everyone should, you know, travel outside of their country at least once in their life if they're able to. My husband and I recently went to England and Scotland, and you know, just seeing how other people live. I think we get so used to the bubble that we're in. It can be really eye-opening to go someplace and have a conversation with somebody that has a completely different perspective of the world. So I feel like that's something that everybody should do if they have a chance. And definitely have a pet. Pets are awesome. I wish that our pets would live as long as we did. Like it's like one of the saddest things in the world to me that like pets have such a shorter lifespan than people, because like, man, those are your ride or dies. I love my pets. Things are more gratifying when you work hard for them. My YouTube channel, I started it in 2011. I've never had something that was like, it was instantly catapulted into like the public eye. It has been something that I have, you know, built and worked hard for, and it's slowly gone up and grown over the last 7-8 years. But I think that it's more rewarding like that, even though I'm not a big channel, even though I don't have, you know, millions of subscribers. It's very gratifying for me to have what I have, because I know that I've worked very hard to be able to, you know, convince people that I'm somebody who does something that's worthwhile. It feels way better to feel like you've earned it. And the last one from my dad. The only way to guarantee that something's not going to happen for you is if you don't try. When I was a sophomore in high school, they were doing a play for the fall, and I kept being like back and forth about it, because I had done a musical my freshman year and loved it, really enjoyed it, but I was like, I'm just a sophomore, I'm not gonna get cast in this. It was like, I think maybe 6 speaking roles, and I was like, there's no way I'm going to get cast in this. But my dad said, you know, well, the only way you can guarantee that you don't get cast is if you don't try out. So I tried out and I got a part. I was the only sophomore that had gotten a role, and it, you know, set the tone of me being a theater kid, like hardcore for the rest of my high school time. And you know, truly, like the only way to absolutely guarantee that something's not going to happen for you is if you don't take a chance and try. And finally, to close it out, I'm excited about the next chapter of my life. I have a general idea of like what I want to do and kind of where I want to be at certain points, but I'm excited to see like how the road will go that will hopefully take me there, and I hope that you guys will come along with me for it. All right, I hope you enjoyed. First of all, I hope that was actually 30 thoughts. If it wasn't, then like final thought, I still don't know how to count. So I hope you enjoyed 30 thoughts about turning 30. Yeah, let's do it for 30 more years. Oh my God, why? Bye.